Okay, so you've probably heard this one, right? That having houseplants is a great way to help fight mold. But what if I told you the opposite might actually be true? Today, we're going to explore the surprising science behind our leafy friends and what's really happening in our homes.
I know, it's a bold question. It sounds a little crazy, but when you dig into the science of indoor air quality, the answer might just change how you see the greenery in your living room.
I mean, who wouldn't love that idea? A beautiful plant that just solves your mold problem for you. It sounds like the perfect, natural, low-effort fix. We're told all the time that certain plants, like English ivy, are these amazing air purifiers. But in this explainer, we're going to see exactly why this popular green myth just doesn't hold up in the real world.
So you gotta ask, where did this whole air-purifying plant idea even come from? Well, it turns out it all started in an environment that is worlds away from your actual living room or bedroom.
Yep, the foundational studies that got everyone so excited were done in these small, sealed boxes. These are super controlled lab experiments which, let's be honest, have almost nothing in common with a real breathing home that's full of drafts, open doors, and, actual life happening.
And the difference is just huge. A lab is static. Your home is dynamic. Air is always moving around, people are walking, constantly kicking up dust and invisible mold spores. So any teeny tiny filtering effect a single plant leaf might have is just completely overwhelmed. It's kind of like trying to bail out a leaky boat with a teacup.
Okay, so if the plants aren't really filtering the air in a meaningful way, what are they doing? Well, they are consistently adding one thing to the room, and it happens to be the one thing that mold absolutely loves the most: moisture. And they do it in two really simple ways. First, there's a natural process called transpiration. That's just the plant breathing out water vapor from its leaves. And second, you've got simple evaporation, coming right off that damp soil you water every week. So your plant is basically a little slow-motion humidifier running 24/7.
Now this is where it gets really important. That little bit of extra moisture might not seem like a big deal, but in areas that are already vulnerable, it can be the very thing that tips the scales. We're talking about bedrooms where the door is closed all night, corners with bad airflow, or the space right next to a cold outside wall. And this quote from an expert really hits the nail on the head. The plant itself isn't the root cause, but what it does is help create this little microenvironment. It's that small pocket of air, just in the few inches around the plant and against the wall, that gets way more humid than the rest of the room. And boom, you've created the perfect little spot for mold to take hold.
This brings us to the real driver of mold. And here's the thing, it's not about the number of spores floating around in the air. Trust me, they're always there. You can't avoid them. It is all about the physical conditions that allow those spores to wake up and start to grow.
It all boils down to some pretty simple physics, really. You have warm, moist air, maybe made a little moister by our plant friend, and it hits a colder surface, like a window pane in the winter. That air cools down fast, and it can't hold on to all that moisture anymore, so it drops it as little water droplets. That condensation? That is the absolute lifeline mold needs to thrive.
So let's be perfectly clear. Houseplants don't do any of the things you need to stop this process. They don't improve your ventilation. They don't warm up your walls. They certainly don't stop condensation. They just don't address the core physics of the problem at all.
So, if plants aren't the solution, what is? Well, the real answer isn't about adding things to a room. It's about actively managing the environment of your home itself.
These are the proven strategies that tackle the root causes head-on. Improving ventilation physically gets that humid air out before it can find a cold wall. Controlling humidity at the source, like using the extractor fan when you shower, lowers the moisture level everywhere. And keeping the heating consistent helps warm up those cold surfaces, while insulation is the ultimate fix to get rid of them altogether.
Because at the end of the day, a building is a physical system. And moisture? It's impartial. It doesn't respond to aesthetics or green symbolism. It only responds to the unchangeable laws of physics: temperature, humidity, and airflow. That's it. And this really illustrates a crucial shift in thinking. Instead of searching for passive, symbolic fixes, the real power to prevent mold lies in actively understanding and managing your home's environment. And you know what? That is a power that is entirely within your control.